Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is part of our tutorial series on C++ interview question preparation. The topic which I have chosen for today's tutorial is classes and object in C++. So let's start our today's tutorial. A class in C++ is a building block that leads to object-oriented programming. It is a user-defined data type which holds its own data member. And class consists of data member and member function. Which can be accessed and used by creating an instance of that class that we also known as object. A C++ class is like a blueprint for an object. What? A blueprint for an object. For example, consider the class car. There may be many cars with different name and brand, but all of them will share some common properties, like all of them will have 4 wheels, obviously. All of them have any speed limit, any mileage range. So here car is a class and wheel, speed limit, mileage are their properties. A class is a user-defined data type which has data member and member functions. Data member are the data variable and member function are the function used to manipulate these variable, and together these data member and data function defines the properties and behavior of the object in a class. In the above example of car, the data member will be speed limit. Yes, it is a data member, and mileage is also a data member, and member function can be applied like brake, increase speed. Now take a look at object. An object is an instance of class. When a class is defined, no memory is allocated, but when it is instantiated, mean when an object of that class is created, memory is allocated. So this is a good question which an interviewer can ask you, like when we define a class, there is no memory allocated at the time of definition. At the time of definition, no memory is allocated, but when it is instantiated, mean when an object of that class is created, the memory is allocated, not for the class but for that object. Now we will see how we can define a class and declare an object of that class. A class is defined in C++ using the keyword class followed by the name of the class. Then we have body of class, which is defined inside the curly braces and terminated by semicolon at the end. So we have our keyword, then we have our name, then we have our access specifier, which can be either private, public or protected. Then we have our data members, variable, then we have our member functions. Object. When a class is defined, only the specification for an object is defined. No memory or storage is allocated. To use the data and access the function defined in the class, you need to create object. Now the syntax for object will be class name let's suppose our class name is car, and then the object name can be anything. Let's say we define that as C1. So for example, if I want to create a class, I will show you how I can create it. Let's suppose we are creating a class of student. So this class is our keyword and the name of class is a student. And don't forget to place the semicolon. Now inside of this class I can have three type of data members. Mean their exact specifier can be of three type. First I can have public. Second number I can have private access specifier. At third I can have, let's say, protected, and by default every data member is private. Now we will define the properties or data member for that student class. We can have ID will be public, then we can have name of the student. Next we can have, let's say, if you want to put something private, let's say it's contact info, we'll define the private, then say string, let's say email. So that's how you can define the data member of the student class. Next, how we can access data member and data functions, member functions. The data member and member function of a class can be accessed using this dot operator with the object name. For example, if the name of object is obj and you want to access the member function with the name print name, then you will access this member function by obj print name. That first one is our object, and that after the dot we have our function, member function. Next, accessing data members. A public data member are also accessed in the same way given. However, the private data member are not allowed to be accessed directly to an object. Accessing a data member depends solely on the access control of data member. The access control is given by access modifiers in C++, which can be either a public access, private access, and a protected access. For example, let's say we have a class of name geek and it have a public data member which is string geek name. Then we have our member function which is void print name, and what it does, it display the name. Then in main we are declaring the object of geek class. As you remember, we can declare the object of a class by giving the class name and followed by the object name. In this case we have object 1. Now we will access this string name by using this. First we have our object name, then we have this dot operator, and after that we have our public member of our class, which is geek name, and we are initializing it to Abhi. Next we are accessing this void print name. It has the same syntax like the data members. We have our object name, then we have this dot operator, and after that we have our function, member function. Now the output will be obviously geek name is Abhi. There are two ways to define a member function inside. First one is inside class definition, and second one is outside class definition. To define a member function outside the class definition, we have to use scope resolution operator along with the class name and function name. So let's say we have our same class as previous, which is geek, and it have one public member, two public member. One is geek name and second one is ID. Then we have our function definition, then we have our function declaration, which is this void print name, and then we have our void print ID. It's a function definition which is defined inside the class, but this void print name is not defined inside the class, but it only declared inside the class. Now we have to define this print name outside the class, so we will use this scope resolution operator. Which is void, then we have our class name, and then we have our function name, which is same as print name. Now inside the main we will create an object of geek class, then we will define the geek name, which is XYZ, and the geek ID, which is 15. Then we will call the print name by obj1.printName, and then we print the ID. So the output will be geek name, which is XYZ, and the ID will be 15. Now one thing to note is that all the member function defined inside the class definition are by default inline, but you can also make any non-class function inline by using the keyword inline with them. Inline function are actual function which are copied everywhere during compilation, like preprocessor macros, so the overhead of the function calling is reduced. Now one of the most important type of data member function is constructor. Constructor are special class members which are called by the compiler every time an object of a class is created or instanted. Constructor have the same name as the class and may be defined inside or outside the definition. There are three type of constructor. First one is default constructor, second one is parameterized constructor, and third one is copy constructor. So now we will take a look at one example. We have our class geek having one public data member, which is ID. Then we have our constructor, and remember the name of the class and the name of constructor will always be the same. and inside this constructor we can define any type of thing. Let's say we are displaying default constructor call, then we have our parameterized constructor, and then we make the object of our class geeks, and then we display geek IDs by accessing our public ID member, and the display of this code will be default constructor call, and then we have our -1, and then we have parameterized constructor call, and ID is 21. So that's all from today's tutorial. Hope you find this video helpful. If you have any queries related to these tutorials, you can type them in comment section, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Till I will see you in my next video. Till then, take care and thanks for watching.